One of the co-founders of the largest eco-village in Finland, and I have had a 3.5 years side path in social forums and in places of interest, trying to figure out what kind of development could be, let's say, better one where we now are. And in my work at the National Board of Education, I have had a chance to participate in creating the central document called National Code of Comprehensive Education, and I have tried to write it in that way that it will not prohibit, at least it will not prohibit better development, also maybe qualitative changes. So in Finland we truly trust on education as a social transformer, and especially since late 60s when we gave up a dual education system and went into a comprehensive system of basic education. And international education and later global education, now we speak about education for global citizenship, has been one aspect, or maybe little by little coming a foundation of the whole thing. And for us it has been from the very beginning, since 1968, important that there's a policy, intensive policy towards equality and inclusion of all. And this really means of all. However crazy your parents are, wherever you live, if you are handicapped, to whatever minority you belong to, you have an access to good quality education. And this, it makes it simpler because education is free of charge, everything, travels, books, and so on. And our teachers are well educated, and they have educated in a way that they are somehow also researchers of their own work. So the reflective eye is supposed to be on their own work. We have good learning results, mainly therefore that we have given chance to everyone. Not therefore that our children are somehow more clever, but therefore that we have given a chance. And also educational culture can be described as a culture of trust, like the entire society. We don't have inspection, we don't have outer evaluation during the basic education. We have reformed education about basic education about once in 10 years, and now we are in the phase that decisions concerning future, the next reform which implementation starts August this year, I will speak about them now to you. And during this time, since '68, also the whole educational system there were lots of changes. The educational level of Finns grew quicker than in any other OECD countries. And we trust that, we think that this increasing the educational standards also helped us to get released of poverty. 2-3 generations ago, Finland was one of the most poorest countries of Europe, on the level of Romania and Bulgaria. That's where we could be without better solutions. And we really think that what has been possible in Finland is possible anywhere. We are not special people. And this is also a message we want to share with people from developing countries. And so the main message is to focus on social capital, justice. Justice creates trust, and trust is currency, what we need. Very shortly about my angle, what I speak about. It's a small country, and municipalities are the mainly providers of education. And the standard of living is on the level of France nowadays, and we are active internationally in many ways. Especially we have had good experience with Nordic cooperation, meaning Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and Iceland. Now we have temporary economic problems, and also we are facing the fact that more than 32,000 asylum seekers are now in Finland trying to get asylum from Finland. And the people are really somehow, not all, thousands and thousands of people make voluntary work, but still this has surprised especially the decision makers. And in Finland you can't live in tents. There's minus 25 or something like that. And this situation, it's testing value integrity in many ways. After Germany, Sweden, Austria, we are the fourth one with this fact. Desperate people trying to find solutions to their life. So, back to national core curriculum. When we have been working with it, the main questions belong to what kind of development we want to contribute, or how we want to be in the world. And in this way, this is chemistry, I hope. This document is distillation of cultural aspirations. Is this understandable, Liam? Okay. And it's also a main steering instrument for our system. And it has many phases. It's about values, it's about conception of learning and conception of knowledge. And it includes descriptions of transversal competencies we are aiming at. It's about development principles of school culture. We are really focusing on whole school approach. If the whole school is not reflecting the same ideals than we speak in the documents or let's say in public speeches, the children are socialized into double moral, and it's not what we want to happen. And then, of course, subjects, and we would like the subjects in the future to be more cooperative with the lots of learning environments. We would like to have more integration, and there will be a must for multi-subject learning tasks. This means that in each school year there is at least one long-term multi-subject learning task for children. And the evaluation very consciously it's about learning supportive evaluation. The task of the evaluation is not to put the pupils into the order. These are some kind of general aspects of the national core curricula. This was prepared, the document was prepared in a wide and open collaboration processes which took 2.5 years. And so civil society organizations as also education providers were very active in commenting the draft versions. And personally, I was in a position to cooperate with people who are active in human rights education, in peace education, in all these aspects of global education. And this feedback system, it was very well organized. Being a civil servant who wants the things to be well described in the most central document, it was very, very helpful to me to have good suggestions from wise people, especially from wise people from the civil society organizations. Actually, they were much more active in these fields than teachers or professionals of education. Value basis. Uniqueness of every child and every child's right to have high quality education, it is considered as a main focus of the whole reform. And then we see cultural diversity as a richness. This is a long story with many aspects. And then we emphasize the importance of human rights, equality, democracy, and welfare, or well-being maybe, and necessity of a sustainable way of life. And for concerning the sustainable way of life, we have developed a new concept called eco-social Bildung in German, Sivistus in Finnish. Our problem is that education is so thin as a concept. When we speak about civistus, it's about education, it's about cultivation, it's about enlightenment at the same time. And this is also a rich source of reforming when having this kind of concept. And actually, okay, I will not speak about that, I will speak a little later. Very shortly about the phases and layers of international global education in Finland. And I think that you have experienced something very similar, because this field, international global education is affected by the fact what the reality is. And when we started, there was a Cold War or apartheid, and the world looked different. And somehow, personally, I think it makes good to see how the process has gone. And in '85, we were very much in Finland dependent and focusing on UNESCO recommendations in this field. And then we joined very late. We joined very late European Union and very late also the Council of Europe. And we decided to become Europeans, which is so funny, but it was the fact. And also focused on education for sustainable development. This time, my board, which is like a part of Ministry of Education, we are 240 people about, made an agreement with the Ministry for Foreign Affairs, an agreement concerning cooperation in the field of global education, and it has been very beneficial. And then in the next phase, we focused on human rights, active citizenship, tolerance, internationalization at home, MDGs. And now education for global citizenship, and we are figuring out what these Sustainable Development Goals 230 actually mean to us. And of course, all these layers somehow still exist. About the development cooperation of Finland, I would like to focus on the fact that there's a congruence of long-term domestic and development policies plus educational policies and educational goals. Gender equality, it is so difficult to reach. As an old feminist, this makes me angry to recognize how long it takes. Such a simple thing that gender equality between men and women. But when we come to the fact of gender minorities or minorities of sexual orientation, it's even more difficult. We have a lot to do with this nationally and internationally. And especially in Finland, we underline the importance of women's participation in conflict-solving processes. And then, like in educational policy, eradication of inequality and poverty is on the agenda. Children, handicapped, minorities at risk of oppression. And our specialty here is trying to on our small share to focus on education in mother tongue, because children can't learn if they don't understand teaching. And then, of course, climate sustainability, good governance. We organized, then it was asked, how did we introduce the main concepts of global citizenship into this curricular reform? Happily, Ministry of Foreign Affairs financed the project called as a global citizen in Finland. And in this project, we discussed what could the competencies of a global citizen be. We also had a symposium with Jean on this topic, and happily the political decision makers couldn't make the decisions concerning general education goals and time schedule for basic education in time, and we had one additional year that we used on this topic, organizing 6 regional workshops, where also the concept of competence was discussed. Competence is about knowledge, skills, values, attitudes, and will, and behavior, which is all about all of this. And then concerning the competence of global citizen, we created this beautiful picture, not understanding that global citizens are like Vanessa showed us. It's one way to be a global citizen, but our interests are in a global citizens based on universal ethics of human rights, which in a way forms the foundation for everything else, for all the other competencies. Intercultural competence, this very much, and actually about the ethics, the practical things that all subjects call religion and ethic, which is for non-religious students, pupils, they are focusing on human rights. This means that if you study in Finland, Lutherans, if you're Lutheran, if you are Catholic, if you are Hindu, if you are Muslim, if you are Baha'i, and whatever you are, if you are tree student, pupil whose parents want to have an instruction in a certain religion, they will have it. And all these, whatever the religion is, they focus on human rights. Then about intercultural competence, the idea is that we are supposed to learn from other cultures. So we don't speak about multicultural education, but intercultural education. And especially our language teachers have been very focusing on this possibility, because language is not only a tool to say what you think, but it gives an angle to other reality. It gives a chance to learn new things. It gives a chance to meet new people, to have a real dialogues. About sustainable lifestyle, in this picture, it's very much focused on ecological aspects. We think that if things go well, we are in a transition phase for the next phase of cultural evolution. We have been collectors, we have been farmers, we have been industrialized, but that has been our main business. We have focused on knowledge and technology. If things go well, we will be able together to develop a new phase of cultural evolution. And then, of course, when it's about global citizen needs is civic competence, meaning that abilities to participate, to influence, to make initiatives. And this is why actually we want all our schools also to reflect this kind of way. if I have time, I will come to that. Then global responsibility and development partnerships. This is our weak point. We know that we are not good in this. This is why we had another project on this aspect, this competence. And of course, global citizens' economic competence. This starts with the fact what we are as consumers. But it's only one aspect of our economic competence. And happily we have a subject called home economics, and of course subject of social studies, which gives good questions and good possibilities to become more competent as a global citizens also economically. But this is a very tricky and difficult field because majority of political decision makers everywhere on the globe see economic development as the main aim of development. The more, the better. And then we very well know that we haven't answered all the questions. And actually, I want to come a little bit back to this one. When we were developing, we chose what are the main focuses in global education. During these years, also thinking about education evolved. We shifted the focus from teaching to learning. We understood the importance of school as learning communities. We understood that the way how we gather information and how we develop knowledge as such matters. Actually, I thought that Oscar and we must be very Freireans, even if Freire is not so well known in Finland like he earns to be. But somehow the deep understanding what education is, it has been changed very deeply during these years, which of course have led to different ways of working methods, different solutions concerning learning environments, different networks, and so on. I can see that someone is restless here. So we focus more on learning about and learning in, learning about and learning for development partnerships, because we know that we are not competent on this. Especially if we think that the partnerships with the schools in developing countries, and when they should be mutual and reciprocal, it takes time, and it's not at all easy. And we know that we need to construct more knowledge on this field. And we were happy to work with 13 schools, which found some solutions, made good mistakes, and also opened gates for new questions. So I could speak one day, but I hope there will be a chance also maybe to make questions or have a discussion. Thank you so much.